hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined as always by...
Your mumbly dad with the bloody face, that is Eric Velasquez. My pronouns are also he, him.
Oh boy.
It's a mess.
You know, for a long time, I feel like the bar for worst movie for us has been that Italian Reanimator movie. I think we may have found a new bar.
I don't know. This one's batshit insane enough to be kind of entertaining.
It's like, you know, we've done... I think this is our third Jesus Franco movie. Mm-hmm. The previous two were crazy. You know, it was the Dracula Prisoner of Frankenstein and the Erotic Rites of Frankenstein, which were both bananas. This is a whole different level of crazy.
Whole level of bananas.
Yeah,
I mean, out in, the 1990s?
Yeah, and like he shot it on video. You know, it's like it does not look nearly as like polished as his earlier stuff did.
No, it almost it feels like he shot this like when he wasn't supposed to, right? Like somebody put an injunction on him, and he was like, "Fuck you! I'm still making a movie."
Yeah, it does definitely have that feel.
Yeah,
and last week we were saying we thought that maybe his daughter was in it, but it's not his daughter in this one. It's his wife at the time.
Right. Which that's better. That's better.
Yeah. And she had been in like his movies when she was younger. Now she's a little older here, but like, you know, good for her. Like there's plenty of nude scenes and she feels, you know, she's comfortable and everything. But like, I'm sure there were some people who were like, we don't want to see this old lady. But the even more naked character in it is Michelle Bauer, who's in like a bunch of Full Moon stuff.
Michelle Bauer. You know, good for her. She's still working to this day.
Yeah. The main things I know her from is like Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers and Sorority Babes at the Slimeball Bowlerama.
That's right. I love that one. Not
but yeah, she was
Man 2, The Passion of the Crust.
Yeah. She's kind of a staple of the Full Moon kind of movies. You know, that she's always ready to get topless for a trashy horror movie, and we love her for that.
And apparently in this one she's willing to put on a fake dick. So
it took me a long time. Like I was like, what's going on there? And then finally, like she kind of makes.
That woman has the biggest clit I've ever seen in my life. Nope, I was wrong.
Yeah, she finally like makes a comment about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, yes, it was what I thought, but
yeah. And the best part is you get to see it in all its glory whenever there's the transfer scene between her and the mother or stepmother.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the stripper. The point is that it's hilarious, and it's like a little plastic penis they just like taped just above her vagina.
Yeah, it's. And you know,
this sounds like something you want to watch.
Oh yeah, I think the main thing as far as like the quality goes is, you know, the shot on video is one thing, but the audio quality is really rough, and it seems like most of this cast, I don't even know if English is their second language. It almost seems like somebody is writing out English for someone who doesn't know how to speak it, and they're just like phonetically saying the things.
Yeah, the guy who's playing the actual quote-unquote Dr. Frankenstein, Carlos Subterfuge, this man has not even conceived of speaking English before.
Yeah.
You can't tell me otherwise.
Yeah, I can't swear that I understood everything that he said in this movie. Like, I was just kind of guessing.
I didn't know what the fuck was going on until 15 minutes in when the British guy shows up. and then Moira fucking starts talking to him, and it's like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah. Oh boy, yeah. This one, yeah. I guess we should go ahead and get into it. I think we've.
Yup. All right, so we're gonna start with like the intro sequence, which is basically parts of the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get like metal rattling, a feminine shadow creeping up the stairs. This is gonna be an actual scene later on. The swirling, bloody face of this fucker, Carlos Subterfuge. Like, I've never seen an Italian guy with dreads, and I don't want to ever see that again.
Yeah, you know, it's a look, all right.
It's a look, especially with all the blood. Mm-hmm. And then I wrote down big boob lady just looking around. I'm pretty sure that's Goddess, a.k.a. the character that Miss Bauer is playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like Franco has done this in some of the other movies we've seen, where it's like he just gives, it's like the opposite of a previously on. He just shows you stuff from the movie you're about to watch over the credits. But it's frustrating because you're just like, what is all this? I don't know what's happening. And then when it happens later, you're just like, okay, I guess I know that now. But like, I don't know. It doesn't work as like a teaser or anything because it's just too much nonsense.
It's literally a teaser for a movie you never knew you wanted to see, or not sure if you still want to see it.
Right. Yeah, and it's so long. Like I wrote, this is an unbearable 5 minutes. Like,
yeah, like he will let you sit there with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why?
Yeah.
What does this mean?
In some cases, I would get it if like the movie was really short and they were trying to pad the length. But I mean, it's an hour and a half. It could have lost that 5 minutes and been fine.
It probably would have been better. Frankly.
Yeah, right.
All right, so we get the main character of Moira. She's having a nightmare-ish.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you get like a voiceover, and she's just quoting the monologue from Rebecca. The like, last night I dreamed I was back in Manderley. I don't know why. Yeah, it's just that exact speech that if you've seen the Hitchcock movie or read the book or whatever, it's that monologue.
Right.
And then
she has to play some alternative rock tunes from the late 90s.
She has like this record that she plays the same song like 6 or 7 times in the movie. It's ridiculous.
Right. Anytime she's stressed, she's going to throw on that album.
Mm-hmm. Right. And also when she has sex.
Oh yeah, fair enough. And all kinds of other wild shit. But,
yeah. Yeah, so once she like wakes up from this nightmare and kind of like climbs out of bed and walks around while she's doing all, putting on the record and getting, I think she gets something to drink, and we get our first view of the blood splattered man who is like outside her window at this point, like staring at her.
Yeah, it's like this motherfucker is just creeping on her, right? He's just a creep.
Yeah. And
he's
like,
breathing on the fucking window. Like, right. They didn't think, hey, spoiler, he's supposed to be a fucking ghost.
Mm-hmm.
But, they couldn't keep him like a foot away. I guess not, because it's a short balcony. It's a small balcony.
Yeah. So, like, I don't think he even says anything at this point. She just sees him, and he kind of creeps her out, and then she looks away and then looks back and he's gone. And it's like, oh, maybe it was a hallucination or, but yeah, it ends up, not only is it a ghost, it takes forever before you find out that it's supposed to be her dad. It's,
you're not going to find out for a long fucking time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, she's also wearing a shirt from another Jesus Franco movie called Succubus, which I love the product placement for himself. Good job, man.
And it's like the camera like pans down at her to be like, "Hey, you seen this movie? She likes it. You should probably check it out."
Yeah. I'm sure it's better.
I would hope, yeah. And then we see, like, occasionally we just get like scenes of like the ocean, mainly as like, I guess, to tell you where we are and probably to pad the length of the movie. And then we see Moira outside, getting ready to get into her car, and there's a man there who like tries to stop her, and they kind of get into an argument. And I think he's like her ex, or either
he cheated on her.
Mm-hmm.
He cheated on her, and that pissed her off.
Yeah,
and that's why they broke up. What's his name? Cyrus
or Silas or something like that. Yeah,
I feel like it was Silas,
mm-hmm.
but the cast says it's Cyrus. But I'm pretty sure it's Silas. Anyway, he's a British dude.
Yeah. And like, he's like, but just let me explain. Can we sit down? Can we talk? I love you. And she's like, I don't have time. Like, come back next week and maybe I'll sit down and talk with you. But I hate you. And then she like speeds off. And
doesn't she call him like a jealous, cheating bitch or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah. And so she ends up, like, she drives and she gets to, like, a villa with, like, a locked gate. And there's,
Why? Why the fuck? Do they ever explain why she chooses to go here other than it was, I guess, her father's house?
Yeah, maybe that would explain, like, now in retrospect, yeah, if she saw what she knows to be her father and we just think is, like, a weird guy, then, yeah, maybe it would make sense. I don't know, but... so we find out like this is, was her childhood home and is now occupied by her stepmother, who is, was a much younger woman than her father, like possibly the same age as Moira or younger even.
Possibly a friend of Moira's before she got married to the dad.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, so like Moira gets out of the car and it's like trying to, the gate's locked, and then this stepmom character comes onto a balcony and they end up having like, they're yelling across the yard to each other, having a conversation.
Yeah. It seems pretty fucking pleasant right now.
Mm-hmm. And she's like,
hey, come on.
Yeah, she's like, come on in. I'll have Mario, the gardener, let you in. And this weird
Doesn't
guy.
He call himself the accidental gardener?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess maybe that means he's more the stepmom's lover and has just fallen into doing gardening work on the side.
Good for her, man. Good job.
And he's very strange. Like, I think when he comes to the gate, isn't he like walking on all fours or something? Like,
he's running like a fucking monkey.
Yeah, it's very strange, and never explained. Who knows? But
no, then he's just a dude. I'm like, he's an experiment, right? But no, he's just a guy.
Yeah.
He's just a dude.
So, yeah, he lets Moira in, and,
Man, we get a great introduction to Mom, though.
Where she, like, just kisses her on the mouth.
Well, hold on. I'm talking about the Moira walking in, and she's giving a dude a blowy.
Yes.
She's just going to town with this guy.
Yeah, and
as you alluded to, when Moira comes up, she's like, give your mom a kiss after she's like doing this. Mm-hmm. And then like she snowballs her own stepdaughter. What the fuck?
Right. It's so fucked up.
Yeah. And she's like, that was a great she's like smiling about it, and it's like Moira's pissed, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, she saw what just happened. Like, she knows what has just transpired. It's not
right.
It's very weird. And I think then, like,
you know what's interesting though. Later on, I don't want to spoil it. Everything about this makes sense, and why the stepmom would have this like thing going on. You'll find out at the end of the movie.
Yeah. We'll get to it.
Okay.
I guess as far as content warnings, there is one.
Yeah, we fucked up.
All
of them, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's plenty of nudity in this. There's, that moment was a little squicky, but like, there's one like for sure like sexual assault moment, a little later. Yeah.
His treatment of I wouldn't necessarily call strippers a sex worker, but of dancers, like they don't treat a lot of people like people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
So, and then there is, of course, gore.
Right.
It's not really realistic gore, though, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Especially, like Franco's definitely done gorier things. We've watched plenty of them. So, but yeah. So once they kind of have this weird sort of like reintroduction or whatever.
Yeah, even her stepmom's like, "Hey, me and your dad used to have fun together," and it's like, "Oh, by the way, incest. We didn't mention incest into that."
Yeah.
That's surprisingly a big part of the story.
Yeah. There's just so much about this that is just like I don't understand what he was going for in the making of this. Like, it just feels it's a mess, and then like the things that are happening are, they're awful. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's like old Franco was kind of classy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was a little bit seedy. Mm-hmm. This dude's just like the jizz stained seats in a theater. Like this is the stage he's in his life.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like, he kind of got typecast as like he does these kind of like, risque erotic films, and then like maybe he wasn't getting the money to do those in a classy way anymore, but he wanted to keep doing them, so he took the money where he could get it and made what he was able to. But yeah, this one,
I mean, this is just a couple steps away from a porn movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
With a better story.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah. And in fact, I mean, some of the porn parodies that we've watched over on Patreon, I think would have what I would say would have better stories than this.
Especially the Munsters, which that's funny. I mean, go check that one out.
Right. So yeah, I think at this point, Moira says something about she came here to collect some items, and I think the next thing we see is Moira in, I guess what we would say is like her childhood room. She's in like a bedroom.
And apparently she has a pet bird that's still out there for how many X years?
Yeah, it's like caged on the balcony. I guess somebody's taking care of it, but yeah, it doesn't seem like a good thing to just leave those behind.
Oh, by the way, I don't think we sum this up, because basically anytime you see her mom's going to be in lingerie, and she's going to be having sex with somebody.
Yes.
This is just true throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
Just know it.
Yeah, and I don't like the guy that she was blowing earlier. Like, does he ever get named? He's just like the sex guy. Yeah,
he gets 2 lines.
Mm-hmm.
The fucking gardener Mario the gardener gets more development than that guy.
Yeah, and Mario is also mostly just a sex object as well. Yeah. Which I guess good for the stepmom that she's just, she's got this harem of dudes and is living her best life.
I mean, why not, right?
Right. And then we get more of like the ghost dad. This time he does talk, and he says, I think he says something about like, I'm begging you, help me find my enemies. And if you do, I will tell you. Yeah, he says something like, I'll tell you my secrets if you do.
Basically, this is when we find out, oh, he's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, wild.
Yeah. And then we just cut to a shot of like little figurines of cherubs doing like the see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil thing. Which, it comes up once or twice more, and it's like obviously like, hey, this is symbolism. Get it? Like, this is a metaphor for stuff that's happening in the movie.
Right. Then we cut back to this is a flashback, by the way, I'm pretty sure, where the stepmom's getting drilled again, but then there's a woman who's like sucking on a dagger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like it's at first it looks like it's 2 different shots that are superimposed, but then we see the woman with the dagger like turn around and enter the frame of the sex scene. So she was just closer to the camera or whatever. She ends up like she starts, or no, at first the stepmom starts caressing her, like the knife lady.
Her ass.
Yeah, and the knife lady eventually drops the knife and like starts to kind of join in on the, you know, the kind of starts to have a threesome. It's incredible. It's an incredibly awkward scene because it very much feels like they don't know what to do. Like, they don't know how to...
I have never seen a woman, like, rub her vagina on the back of a dude's neck.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? The one couple knows what's going on. They're just having sex. Mm-hmm. Then girl number 3 is like, I don't know what to do. We're not doing butt stuff, so I'm just going to ride this dude's neck.
Yeah. It feels like written by like a junior high boy who just heard that threesomes were possible, and he's like, wait, so what would the other one do? I don't know.
Right, I don't have 2 dicks. How does that work?
Yeah. What could we make her do?
Right.
It's so silly.
Oh.
And then, like, at some point in that, like, we do get a superimposed shot over it of Moira.
Yeah, it's young Moira. And her stepmom. So that presumes that's Dad.
I did not make that connection, but yes, I think you're right. Like, that makes so much more sense. Because I definitely was like, Moira, this is a fantasy Moira is having, but I did not. Yes, that explains so much.
Well, I think it's a flashback, which makes it worse.
Yeah, so she's fantasizing about her own sexual encounter with her mom and dad. Ugh, yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, that's...
I was like, who are these random people? I mean, that's clearly stepmom, or close enough to stepmom.
Mm-hmm.
Who's random girl with a knife? And it's like, oh, then later on, like, it's Moira just sitting there, like, you have the little gauzy dream film, and it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yep. I think you're right. So, you know...
Hey, apparently it's not that bad, because she rubs her ass on the window.
So this was the early days of the oh no, stepmom stuck in a dryer thing.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah. But the sex fantasy gets interrupted by the ghost dad again, who, you know, adds to his sort of like requests to Moira, and now he says, I need your help to make a beautiful monster. And he says a lot. That's about all I got out of it, though. Like, this scene goes on a while.
That is the only fucking thing I understood was, help me make a beautiful monster.
Mm-hmm. And we cut right from that to, Michelle Bauer naked and, strapped to, a Frankenstein slab. She's got scars on her, neck and torso and, I think bolts on her neck and everything.
No clothes.
Mm-hmm.
Full bush, full prosthetic.
Yeah. And Moira comes in and sees her there, and then the monster wakes up and she starts begging Moira for help. And Moira's like, how can I help? And she says, open your shirt.
And most people would be like, I don't think so, bro.
But Moira listens.
Fuck yeah.
But rather than this being a sexy time, she scratches Moira's chest and then starts licking blood off of her. Yeah. And then this monster character kind of gives us a little bit more about what we're supposed to be understanding about what's happening. She says, right. You are Moira Frankenstein. I need food. I need your blood. Follow your father, the doctor's orders, and I will be your slave.
So, I mean, Moira's got some things going on. Good for her.
Yeah.
And obviously, Michelle Bauer is probably the only person who speaks really good English.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But because she's the only one who speaks English, they do run her voice through a vocal distortion thing to make it a little deeper and more monstrous. So she's still easier to understand than everyone else, but they did, handicap her a little bit so that she's closer to on par with the rest of the cast.
We gotta extend that curve or shorten the curve,
Yeah, exactly.
So everyone else can get a B in class.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Mario's busting out some whips on Mom as she's getting plowed again.
Yeah. So now it's the the guy from before, and or is it Moira in this scene? I thought it was Mario.
Oh no, sorry, it's stepmom. Stepmom's getting plowed.
Yeah, and Mario's whipping her, right? Yeah,
right, and she's having sex with the nameless guy again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, he's just like standing behind her, whipping her ass. So like at least they've got an idea of what to do with three people. Whether or not that's your thing, at least they're all participating in some way.
Right. Mario's a sadist. That's all right, I guess.
Yeah. And then we get another scene with the ghost dad. I did not catch anything from this one. Like I have no idea what he said.
The only fucking thing I understood was you have to give your blood to the monster.
Okay.
And her name is Goddess.
Yes. And yeah, then the next scene is Moira like sort of like making out with and caressing the monster, and she further emphasizes, "Your father called me Goddess." I think at that point there's like someone's pounding on the door, and
I guess Mario's drunk because he's like stumbling around and he's like, "Open up, you bitch."
Yeah, yeah. So Moira lets him in, and he instantly starts like really aggressively kissing her, and she's kind of like stepping back. And at first it's like, this movie's had such weird horny scenes that like it's unclear, exactly what's going on. But then after a minute or so, you're like, oh no, she does not want this. This is bad.
Goddess ain't about that.
Yeah. So she like bursts into the room and like starts attacking Mario.
Well, Mario's like, all right, we got another babe.
Yeah. And Moira comes up behind him then and hits him in the back of the head with something, and knocks him out or kills him, or just knocks him out. We will get a little indication that he survives this here in a moment.
But this is when Goddess is like, hey, we got to get him down there
and
do something to him.
Yep. So we cut to the science lab for this movie, which is super low budget, but there's two slabs. Goddess is laying on one, and Mario's on the other one.
This is when because I actually wrote this in my notes. I said, does Goddess just have a big clit? Or nope, that's a small prosthetic dog.
Yeah, yes. Yep. So they're kind of doing, we've seen similar things to this a lot, where it's like we're connecting the monster to someone else and passing life force over, and so we'll see Mario kind of like starts like twitching in pain as his energy's being taken away. Meanwhile, Goddess is sort of she's writhing in a more like sexual way as she's being like filled with this life energy. So she's also there when Moira is connecting them to the equipment. She puts a catheter on Mario. I don't know why. There's no purpose. They are killing this.
Seriously.
Oh, does it connect? Oh, I didn't even notice that either.
Yeah.
What?
All right, so maybe we didn't explain this. Because Goddess is like, I don't want to say hermaphrodite.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been the term at the time, but like, I mean, I guess intersex would be the term at this point.
Yeah. She is intersex.
Yeah, but like, with her being a Frankenstein I mean, I guess intersex would still, usually you think of intersex as people who are born with like differing chromosome arrangements that that cause some differing like sex characteristics. In this case, presumably, Moira's dad made this creature this way on purpose. But I mean, I guess having both sex characteristics, I guess you would still call them intersex.
Basically, what we're trying to say is that when Frankenstein was making Goddess, he saw the gender slider and said, "No, I'm hacking it and just saying yes."
Yeah. Everyone does use, I mean, Goddess being the name is definitely like a feminine name, and I'm pretty sure they use like she, her pronouns describing Goddess. But
and literally they'll ditch the dong here in a minute. It's only here for this scene, and then they're done with it. I think Michelle Bauer was just like, just get this fucking thing off of me.
So I guess is that the deal then? The catheter is somehow taking the dong energy from Goddess and sending it into the dying Mario.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, and this is gonna cause issues later, because because Goddess is both male and female. The male brain wants to fuck shit up. The female brain just wants to fuck.
Right. It feels like under a more adept hand, there might be something here that would be interesting to like explore. Like it intersects Frankenstein monster. No, we definitely did not. But like if you think of like Frankenstein created woman, where you had like the female Frankenstein monster that was also carrying the soul of her dead boyfriend inside her. There was some interesting stuff there. Of course, that movie was made so long ago that they also couldn't really dig into it too much. This would obviously is closer to now. Still, the 90s were not the best. I mean, now is not the best time for trans folk, but absolutely not in the 90s. But, I feel like if this had been made by, like, I don't know, John Waters or something, there might have been a little bit more, like, clever, subversive stuff about gender and sexuality and stuff. And in this, it's just kind of like, it's vaguely horny, and I feel like the intersex monster is supposed to be just a gross monster. Like, I don't think we're supposed to, feel any kind of empathy for the fact that she has this, complicated relationship with gender and sexuality.
Right. So anyway, Moira and her are gonna fuck now.
Right. Yeah. She says like, yeah, now you are my mistress. Come to me. And we get Moira puts on her favorite record that only seems to have one song on it. Yep. And they have incredibly awkward lesbian sex. Like, it's kind of a cliche that like straight men have like, fantasize about lesbian sex, but that they want like fake porn lesbian sex. This doesn't even look like fake porn lesbian sex. It just looks like someone who has no idea what that, like,
Goddess is trying to penetrate,
okay, so I mean, I guess that would make sense that like Goddess is learning how to, use her new like more, I guess, designated genitals. Because there's a lot of like, it's not even like scissoring. It's like it is grinding in a way that like, it's kind of strange. But it also just feels like these two actors, they don't have the best physical chemistry. No. They don't really, and I'm sure it's like, I'm sure Michelle Bauer's like, you're my boss's wife and you're like, 20, 30 years older than me. Like, this is uncomfortable.
Well, it also seemed kind of like both of these women are straight.
Yes, absolutely.
Lesbian-ish sex.
Mm-hmm.
Lesbian sex, basically.
Yeah.
And they didn't seem comfortable at all.
Yeah. And in fact, like, it goes on for a little bit, and then it just cuts to shots of the ocean, which I feel is, like, metaphorical for, like, Mother Earth and, like, lady sex. But I think it's just, like, we ran out of ideas of what to do for these two women to do with each other, so we're just going to cut to this.
Yeah, and, of course, then we have a car pulling up beside the ocean,
and
awkwardly pulling a large chest behind them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's at first it's like silhouetted, like it's pretty clear it's Moira, but it takes a little bit before you can like actually tell. Yeah. But it's weird, like she drags this like Foot Locker kind of chest out of the trunk of the car, drags it about halfway to the ocean, and then opens it and pulls out Mario's dead body, and then drags the body the rest of the way to the ocean. I don't know why, what the trunk was for, but
keep it tidy. The car, I get no. I mean, honestly, yeah, just dump the fucking chest in there. Unless Moira's planning on going back for, she's going to put she is going to put everybody in the fucking chest, so.
Yeah, true.
She's planning ahead.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so she of course throws him in the ocean, and then we just cut to her arriving back home, and like you mentioned earlier, stepmom is there, she's in lingerie, she's just outside, like, hey, have you seen Mario? I'm looking for him. And Moira's like, no, I haven't seen him. And the stepmom's like, but I thought he went to your room last night. And she was like, yeah, he came by. He was there for like a minute or two, then he left. I don't know where he went after that. He's not my type, I think she says. And again, the stepmom, she kind of creepily hits on Moira again, like, maybe I'm more your type, something along those lines.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, why don't you share your toys with me?
Yes, yeah. So Moira goes back to her room at this point and listens to that same record again and has another encounter with Ghost Dad.
Yes, she does. Now, does she have another flashback? Because I feel like she's having a flashback here where he's literally just having sex with her in the past. But he's also wearing a paintball mask?
Yeah, I don't know what that mask is about. Yeah, and this time we see Moira watching from the doorway.
Oh, that's right.
So, yeah, yes, so I think I don't know if this is a fantasy or happening in present day, but either way, at some point Moira is watching stepmom with nameless guy, where
she doesn't think about anybody else, but when she thinks about Dad, she touches herself.
Right? Yeah. And so yeah, then when the couple having sex see Moira. They like the boyfriend gets up and grabs Moira and starts like, at first he's just kind of like, it seems like he might be assaulting her, but then she kind of seems more into it this time, and he drags her to the bed.
Stepmom's really ready to, she's like, hell yeah.
Yeah, and so
go.
So yeah, they start going to town, and then we cut back to specifically to the cherub figurine covering its eyes. It's like it doesn't want to see what's going. Like, look away, you don't want to see this. And I think it seems like when Moira climaxes, she like yells for her dad or something.
Yep, she sure does.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of stuff going on here.
Yeah. And then, like, the next scene is her waking up by herself in her own bed, clothed. So at this point, I wrote in the notes, like, did that happen, or did she dream this, or is this a fan? Like, I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. The weird thing though is, she put on the record at the in the previous scene before the sex scene, and the record is still going. If she had, records don't, like one side of a record is maybe a half hour. So she either, fell asleep for a very short amount of time, or I don't know.
World's only like repeating. What the hell is this record player?
Yeah. I don't know. It's very strange.
This movie's got turned my mind to mush.
Yeah, it definitely felt that way. So yeah, once she gets up, she starts looking around. She doesn't see Goddess anywhere. She's like yelling for her. And then we see Goddess is outside.
Well, hold on. Before we get to that, we do get a little bit of a fake out moment where a dude's just like using an axe on something, and Moira gets like a momentary, oh fuck.
But yeah,
that's not where Goddess is. Go ahead, Anthony. I'll give you the pleasure of this one.
So yeah, we see this guy is chopping firewood, and the Goddess is watching him, but she is nude outside, like humping a tree.
I'm pretty sure you can just say she's fucking that tree. Yeah. Like, she probably found a knothole and just went to town on it.
Yeah. And so, like...
and she can't stop.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking about this guy, Moira. You gotta help me.
Yeah, like when Moira gets to her, she's like, please, put your fingers inside me. Help me.
Right?
So Moira obliges, and they together just kind of fool around while they watch. And the guy chopping wood, it's also worth noting, he's using a hatchet, not an axe.
Sorry, not axe.
A little ass hatchet trying to chop wood, which would take for fucking ever. Probably that's just the only thing they had laying around, and they were like, it's fine.
And just to tell you what Goddess is thinking about, they zoom in on the dude's package like every couple seconds.
Yeah. And, like, you know, I feel like there is sort of, like, precedent for, like, women being, like, attracted to men chopping wood in movies. But this isn't the thing where he's, like, you know, he's not, like, a really muscly guy. He's not, you know, shirtless or, like, wearing, like, a tight flannel and sweating, you know, attractively. He just looks like a regular, like, just dude chopping wood with this little hatchet. It's not an erotic wood chopping scene. If that's your kind of thing, you're not going to get it out of this one.
Yeah. I don't know whose thing this is, man.
Yeah.
It's somebody's. It's got to be. Jesús Franco, that's who it is.
Right. And from there, I think we just cut to, like, later. Goddess is, like, asleep on Moira's couch, still naked.
Like, they passed out post-coitus, just about.
Mm-hmm. And Moira goes outside and gets in her car to make a phone call. And I think she's calling her work. We don't really hear the other side of the conversation, but it sounds like she's like, I'm going to be out of town for a little while longer. Do I have any messages? You don't really hear the other side. She's just like, okay, thanks. And then when she gets out of the car, we hear, like, laughter coming from the house. So she goes inside to see what's going on, and it's stepmom and boyfriend who are now snorting coke.
Yeah, just railing some lines, baby. And I like how, you know what, mom is kind of a good person to a degree. I mean, not really, but she's like, hey, come on, do some coke with us. And Moira's like, yeah, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, at least she's, you know, gonna share. Yeah. So, you know, Moira joins in, and they... Very quickly, everybody decides to get naked.
Let's all have sex.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, the scene earlier, it was kind of unclear how into it Moira was, if it even happened or not. But here, everybody's down. Everybody is having a good time.
All signs are green.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this time, this one's still kind of awkward, but a little better. But there are scenes where it's just like Franco doesn't know where to put the camera. When there's three people, they're like, you just are like seeing like the side of someone without, like, you're not seeing any of like the bits you want to see. Basically, you know, it's like everybody's naked, but not in a sexy way, I guess.
I mean, Moira's, you know, exposed. She's between mom and the dude who's actually having sex with her, and apparently her mom kind of knows what to do because she's just, you know, grinding behind her and all that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there's somebody in this house who's not into any of that. And that would be Goddess.
Yep. She, like, you know, wakes up on the couch, hears the sounds, and goes to, starts stomping through the house. And then we finally get, like, at one of the, you know, the opening credits, like, one of the main scenes that we see several times is this, like, silhouetted figure coming up the stairs. And now we finally get that scene. This is Goddess angrily approaching the threesome, in media res here. She instantly just kills the boyfriend.
Snaps his neck.
Mm-hmm. And she starts to, like, attack the stepmom, but Moira gets up and gets Mario's sex whip from earlier and starts just whipping the shit out of Goddess and is, like, punishing her, like, no, you know, you do what I say. I'm your mistress. You don't hurt, you know, I can do what I want.
She doms Goddess, and Goddess is, like, down for it.
Yeah. Yeah, she seems to definitely get something out of this, and, you know, this from, like, I think it's the erotic rites of Frankenstein where we get that scene where the woman gets whipped a lot, and, you know, there's, like, a lot of blood and everything, and this scene felt very similar.
Yeah. Stepmom's like, I'm not hanging around here for this weird shit, even though I've been into everything else, right?
Yeah, and this is so bizarre. Somehow, stepmom gets the whip away from Moira, tries to run away, trips, falls over a balcony, and gets hanged by the whip. Yeah.
So what the fuck was it attached to?
I don't know. It's so weird.
How did she fall over the balcony? Like, she has the world's shortest robe. You're not tripping over that thing.
Right. Yeah, and we just get, like, the silhouette of her body kind of, like, swinging back and forth from the whip.
Yeah. And then Moira's just kind of like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's so weird. So at that point, Moira kind of helps Goddess up. Her back's, like, all bleeding, and she's like, we better get out of here. This is a crime scene now. You know, we don't want this to be found. So they go back to like that science lab.
This is where Goddess explains, my heart is full of love, but my mind is full of hate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she says my double sex is always on fire. And she says my heart needs love, but my arms want to destroy everyone, or something like that. So yeah, and Moira's like, I can help you, and Goddess is like, I can't be helped. The only thing you can do is kill me. She says, pull out my golden cord and cut it off.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a metaphor for like just her life force, or if she has some sort of weird, robotic cord.
Actual golden cord.
Yeah.
It's either or, honestly.
Yeah.
But she does say, I'm just a puppet, a nasty, beautiful puppet.
I wrote that line down too. It's so weird. But yeah, it's clear.
I mean, it works.
Yeah.
It's not wrong.
Yeah. But Moira's like, no, I love you, and we're gonna find a way to work this out. I'm not killing you. I'm gonna help you.
Right. But apparently, okay, so here's what you got to do. You got to find me a body. But what Dr. Frankenstein used to do was inject people in the temple with a sedative. I'm like, that seems like you're just murdering them with extra steps.
Yep. Yeah, so I think the next scene is, first, it's just at a strip club. We just see a woman, dancing at a strip club for a while.
Rock lobster they have at home.
Yeah. Yeah, it is definitely like it's that sort of like rockabilly, like the Cramps kind of style music. Yeah. Like I think the song's called like Ubangi Stomp or something like that. But yeah, it goes. So at first we just watch the one, like it's just a stripper dancing. Eventually, Moira
finds her.
Yeah, Moira comes in and sits down at like the rail, and the stripper kind of comes and like dances in front of her for a while, and then eventually she encourages Moira to help remove her G-string, and then like Moira goes down on her.
Okay, I have a problem with this. Being a young man who's been in a facility such as this. They would not let you do this. Like some people would be like, "Get the fuck out, lady."
Yeah. So I discussed this with someone I know who has been a stripper, and she was like, at certain points, you sometimes will get another stripper to like act as a mark and right. pretend like they're doing this, but you would never let just like a stranger do this in the club.
You would never in the middle of a dance. You would never just sit on someone's face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, if you're using, it's a coworker and you're doing it to like play it up to get guys to tip more, sure. But like just some random like older lady, the stripper's not going to be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. But nope, the stripper seems very into Moira and in fact decides to come home with her.
Now, see, that I would buy.
Yeah. And yeah, so they get home. Moira puts on the same record again. They get into bed and they start kind of like fooling around. This is probably the most realistic sex we've seen, but it's only two people, so it's easier to choreograph, I guess. But then Moira's like, hold on, let me get something. And she goes and gets the aforementioned syringe. And gets back into bed, like holding it behind her back, and then like surprise injects the stripper in the, the temple.
Just stabs her in the temple.
Yeah. Yep, and she immediately goes unconscious, and then we just cut to the science lab again. We've got Goddess on one slab and stripper on the other.
Yeah. Now they're transferring the lady juice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and so it's similar. Like the stripper's kind of looks like she's in pain. Goddess looks like she's in ecstasy. And then when it's over, Moira's like, "How do you feel?" And Goddess says, "Like a whole new woman, a woman in love."
Aw, that's adorable and fucking weird, but okay.
And to make it just a little weirder, the Ghost Dad is just like standing in the background, covered in blood, watching his monster creation and his daughter
have sex.
Yeah.
What the fuck does he say? Like, I couldn't make out a single word this time.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean,
He
I'm
just
I'm
talks
sure.
for like a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I assume he's like, "Good job, daughter," but like, yeah, I did not hear any of it. The next scene is Moira and the goddess. They together now have dragged the stripper to the ocean to throw her in the water. And goddess is wearing clothes.
Stepmom or?
Oh, I guess, yeah, I was thinking it was the stripper, but I guess it could be the stepmom as well. I mean, they need to get rid of both of them, right?
They were both wearing very short dresses, and they're both brunettes. Okay.
Yeah.
We only get to see them in silhouette, so who knows?
Yeah. But goddess is wearing clothes for the first time.
Kind of.
She is at
Moira
first.
calls it out. Like,
Yeah,
"Why are
it's.
your boobs showing?"
Yeah, I think it's like she throws. They throw her in, and then yeah, as they're going back to the car, yeah, goddess is it's like a button-up shirt, but she's like got one button done, and
She's
just
fully exposed.
yeah, and goddess is or Moira's like you're dressed very provocatively, and she's like I like to be provocative. Yeah. So as they're headed back to the house, we finally get the second appearance of Chekhov's Silas, who, I guess had tried to, go back to Moira's apartment, and since she wasn't there, I guess he knew where she grew up and decided to check on her there.
I don't know, but the guy has enough audacity to just let himself fucking in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And pretty soon after he goes in, Moira and Goddess arrive, and now Goddess is fully naked. I guess she just couldn't bear to be in that much clothes for the whole car ride.
She's an always nude. The antithesis to a never nude.
Yes.
I guess you would just say a nudist. So
Yeah.
I'm making it too complicated.
Yeah. But yeah, so as they're pulling up, Moira sees Silas's car and is like, "Oh no, this is going to be bad." So she's like, "You stay in the car. I'm going to go deal with this." And Silas is like, "I went inside. I was worried sick. I saw blood splatter. What's going on?"
We finally learned that stepmom's name's Abigail because he's like, "Where's Abigail gone?"
Yeah.
It's kind of like, were you involved? Were you one of the sex people?
I mean, could be. And like, why would this movie bother? Like this, stepmom has just been stepmom this whole time. Like, why even bother at this point? But while Moira is like, trying to figure out a way to like talk her way out of this,
he's like, "Come back to me, Moira."
Yeah, and Goddess ends up like sneaking up behind him, and she's fully naked except she is wearing, like the boots Karloff wore, like the really thick sole like Frankenstein
She's
boots.
always wearing these fucking platform boots. That's it.
But they're like gold because they're like vaguely like strippery or whatever. But she snaps Silas's neck just like she snapped boyfriend's neck earlier.
Right, Moira and her just smile about it.
Yeah. And yeah, like they're just happy about it. And then I think it's like a little later.
I wonder what's going to happen to Moira and Goddess. Anyway, we cut to two blurry women, one with a knife.
Yeah. And yeah, they're both naked. And one of them I think is Goddess, but the other one I don't think is Moira, unless it's the young Moira from earlier.
Yeah, well, it's stepmom. She cuts Goddess's throat.
Okay, and yeah, because she's carrying a knife. Yeah, and they is it so? Yeah, they like the new girl like comes in and like Moira's on the couch and she's got the knife and they like lick blood off of it.
Yeah, so this is fucking weird, guys. Like this is this is hard to wrap your mind around because it's like she has a vision of her stepmom killing her lover. And then we cut to two other people having sex, which is young Moira and Abigail. And they start licking the blood up. Somebody walks in and slits Dad's throat, and then they both lick the blood from the knife. Mm-hmm. So that's how Dad died, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like the way that they're... I mean, it's, it's done very erotically. It's very much like... This is a more common threesome scene that you might see in pornography when there are two women and a man. Yeah. Imagine the knife is maybe another thing. You catch my drift, right? But and it's
also though you still have young Moira, but real like current day Moira is just sitting there on the sofa, just chilling.
Yeah, and yeah, Moira like wakes up from this whole thing was sort of a fantasy dream, surrealist collage of a couple things. Yeah. And at that point,
sucking her thumb, because why not?
Yeah, sucking Moira's thumb. Yeah, and we get one last scene with Ghost Dad, and he's like, "Farewell, my lovely daughter. Farewell, my beautiful monster." And then, as we kind of
dream of me again,
right? And then, as we're starting to go to credits, we get that same "I dreamt of Manderley" monologue again. Which I don't know if that's trying to imply that this whole thing has been a dream. I don't think so.
Right.
But, Rebecca does have things of characters who were mysteriously dead and who may have been visited as ghosts or as hallucinations. But if Franco is trying to imply that this is his retelling of Rebecca, he definitely, no, definitely not. Hitchcock, this ain't.
No, right? I really hope he wasn't trying, though, because that's... Ooh.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's...
If you want to see that kind of crazy shit...
I would say, yeah, if you are, if you're comfortable with, a lot of gratuitous nudity and some, sketchy sex scenes, and you're into just kind of, Eurotrash... This would probably be a fun one to watch on mind-altering substances.
Yeah.
Obviously, we were meticulously taking notes, so you don't have to.
We were sober, damn it.
Yeah. But I could imagine it might be a more pleasant viewing experience if you've got some friends who are into trash horror who might want to partake together.
I don't know, man. When Ghost Dad pops in, that's gonna ruin your day.
Yeah.
Especially when he decides to be a kaleidoscope about it.
Yeah. He's definitely the indicator of a bad trip for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, it's. I think maybe you're right. This might be right above the Reanimator in that it is just so weird that there's some amount of fun to it. But, we were talking last week about how I, Frankenstein was not a good movie, but it was a fun movie. This, I, Frankenstein blows us out of the water in terms of quality.
Yeah. That there is some high quality, classy media compared to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Theatra at that point, right?
Right. Yeah, I would hesitate to recommend this to anybody, but the most diehard fans of trash horror.
No, because if you do, they're gonna fucking look at you like you're a sketchy son of a bitch. They're gonna be like, "I'll trust you. You're not getting around any of my family members."
Right? Yeah. Yeah. But if what we have described at all intrigues you, by all means, track down this bizarre trash movie.
Yep. Oh, gosh. Oh, I have a feeling this was an anime once. Anyway. Anything else we got to say about this?
No, like we said, there is some stuff here that could have been, subtextual and, been clever and interesting, but it was not approached in that way, and I don't think there's any way you can really, pull a thread and find any kind of interesting stuff about gender and sexuality in this. I'm not really sure what he was going for, but it doesn't feel like any kind of intelligent commentary on anything.
Right. It sounds like it's like they were starting, or Jesus Franco was starting to make a very intellectual argument, but then was just pee-pee and boobies. And then that's it. It's okay, man, sure, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about this one.
Yep. All right. Now that we've done that, let's do a 180 and go for something completely different. I want you to know I think you're insane for this, by the way. I have no way to transition this. But next week we're going to watch Alvin and the Chipmunks meet Frankenstein.
Right. Yeah, it felt like, we've been watching some weird stuff, and let's do something a little more family friendly after.
Weird in a different way, right?
Yeah. So, Alvin and the Chipmunks meet Frankenstein. I don't know that I've ever seen this actually. It's just one of those a lot of animated shows got Halloween specials back in the day. I think it's like an hour.
Garfield animated Halloween special.
Yeah. Those are the good old days. I don't know that animated shows do that anymore. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happened when Alvin and the Chipmunks meet for Frankenstein.
Fair enough. All right, where can they find us, Anthony?
So you can find us on all the socials at the Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. You can also find us over on YouTube, and of course you can find us at patreon.com/thefrankencast. We're doing all kinds of fun stuff over there. There's still a free trial. We recently put an episode up that is free for anyone, so you can check that recent episode out. I get pretty personal in that one, and you're welcome to check in with that, and reach out if you got any questions or need anything after listening to that. But yeah, there's plenty of fun stuff over there, and we'd love to have you.
Absolutely. All right. Well, anything else we got to say?
I think that's it.
All right, I'm gonna try this. To be continued. Because I'm trying to sound like Dad.
Perfect.
I think I was too. You could make too much sense out of what I was saying.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at The Frankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.